now escalating fears of an all-out war in the region. The IDF has confirmed Israel has hit nuclear targets. Officials say dozens of jets completed the first stage that included strikes on dozens of military targets, including nuclear ones. Our producer on the ground in Tehran heard blasts around the city. Our teams have reported air raid sirens in Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. The strikes come as the U.S. has planned nuclear talks with Iranian officials this weekend. We'll go to Tel Aviv in just a moment, but first let's go straight to senior White House correspondent Selena Wang. Selena, what are U.S. officials saying about this attack?
Well, in fact, we're just getting a statement from the White House. According to Secretary of State Marco Rubio, in the statement, he is stressing that there was no U.S. involvement in this attack. I'll just read to you part of it, saying tonight, Israel took unilateral action against Iran. We are not involved in strikes against Iran, and our top priority is protecting American forces in the region. He goes on to say that Israel advised us that they believe this action was necessary for its self-defense. President Trump and the administration have taken all necessary steps to protect our forces and remain in close contact with our regional partners. Let me be clear, Iran should not target U.S. interests or personnel.
All that tells me is that they know for a fact. Well, okay, let me back up for a second. One of the things that I asked Myron yesterday, because I've been asking this question and I've been adamant about the fact that I never understood and I still do not understand why the United States of America is so in close-knit and a tight bond with Israel, right? And I've been asking this question for months. Nobody has been able to explain it to me from a C student's perspective. I asked Myron, why does he think the United States of America have such a great relationship with Israel? And Myron said, because, and this is, don't quote me like literally, but in a nutshell, he said it is because Israel or officials in Israel contribute so much money into a lot of the politicians here in the United States of America. So with that being said, some people say it's because it's the Holy Land and all of this stuff, right? That's what a lot of people says. And Myron Gaines, shout out to Myron Gaines over there at First Fit. He pulled up on After Hours last night and we had a conversation. The timestamps is on that video yesterday. I still don't understand. If you're saying that it's incentivized from a financial perspective, then that's probably a logical explanation. That just tells me that all of our politicians are essentially bought and paid for. Now, with this statement from Marco Rubio, and he's saying that the United States of America had no involvement whatsoever, but that Israel let them know that they felt like it was necessary for their protection, well, then that would lead us to believe that only one of two possibilities could be. Either they were anticipating a strike from Iran, or, and that's why they preemptively struck them, or, I don't want to say the second part. Here's my thing. I don't like the fact that the United States of America is partners with people that are so unpredictable, especially when we consider that this weekend it was supposed to be talks with regard to to Iran getting nuclear weapons. It's almost like somebody asking, why is the United States of America so in support of Israel? Considering that it seemed like they always at the forefront of some dumb shit, is the same thing as saying, hey man, why you always hanging out with that dude, bro? You know he gonna get you in some trouble, right? You know how we was asking, hey, why is Ja Morant always hanging out with them dudes that's gonna get him caught up in some stuff? It's similar to that. It's like, this guy, we know that you are a good person and you got a great future ahead of you and you got kids or whatever. Why are you hanging out with this dusty dude over here that's always in the streets? You know that he gonna do some unpredictable stuff. You can't control him. And so because you his homeboy, now it's almost like birds of a feather. Whatever he get into, you get into. If he get in your car and you hanging around him and you didn't know that he had a gun on him, but he's likely to carry a gun on him, when y'all get put over, guess what? Everybody catching a gun charge. Everybody catching a drug charge. Everybody gonna get caught up in some nonsense. And this is on a larger level what I see happening with the United States of America. I don't want to be in nobody else's wars. I don't want to be involved. A lot of people are saying, oh, this is World War III. I think they're getting a little bit ahead of themselves. Oh, this is World War III. I think that people are getting a little bit ahead of themselves. I don't think that this is World War III. I don't think that the United States of America is going to get involved with troops on the ground with regard to fighting other countries. I don't. Is this a very ugly, difficult situation? Yes. Do I hate seeing news pop across my feed that says that Israel has struck military leaders and people across and struck nuclear facility? I don't want to see that shit. I hate it, bro. Why we can't just get money, bro? You're right, Tyler Eubanks. This is their war, not ours. But we in alliance with them. And that's what makes it difficult. And one of the reasons that they probably feel compelled to be able to attack like this is because we are in alliance with them. Because they got big dog. It's like your little homie, and he keep on getting in a confrontation because he know he got the big homie behind him. It's like, dog, shut the fuck up. Don't you know that we trying to create peace? Why are you so loud?
Now, Lindsay, this comes after the State Department had ordered non-essential diplomats out of Iraq, and the Pentagon had authorized military families to depart throughout the Middle East voluntarily if they chose to do so. The president has said that the region could become very dangerous. Now, earlier today, I asked President Trump just how imminent this strike could be. He said it very well could happen, but he stressed that he prefers a diplomatic solution. In fact, just last month, President Trump had said that he warned Prime Minister Netanyahu against striking against Iran because he said the U.S. and Iran were close to an agreement. So the big question here, Lindsay, is what this means for ongoing U.S. and Iran nuclear talks.
Selena Wang from the White House for us. I want to bring in ABC News military analyst Steve Ganyard. And Steve, we know that Israel has been warning for months, if not years, that it might strike Israel. Why now?
Lindsay, I think that they were fed up with the negotiations that the U.S. was getting played by Iran, that Iran had no intent of giving up its nuclear program, and that they were going to push forward on enrichment and eventually to a nuclear weapon. And they have sworn that they would destroy the state of Israel. And so Benjamin Netanyahu said, well, we went back in there in October and we took down all of their air defenses. They're working hard with Chinese and Russian capabilities to rearm their air defenses. And so this is a time for us to go in now before those air defenses are done, because we don't think that the U.S. negotiations are going anywhere. We think that the U.S. is getting played.
And Trump suggested earlier today that this could happen. He warned U.S. officials that they should leave the region. Is that likely that Israel tipped them off that this was imminent?
They may have given hints, but remember that frankly, the United States leaks like a sieve. And if there had been advanced warning given by the Israelis, that puts their crews in danger. They had lots of aircraft airborne tonight. And so they're not going to give the U.S. the kind of information that might leak and actually put their folks in danger, to take away that element of surprise. One of the things I think we need to think about, Lindsay, is what's next. So we know that they did hit nuclear sites tonight. We know that they may have gone after some of the leadership. We're seeing pictures from Tehran of various residential areas that may have been hit. But the real response is going to come from Iran with more ballistic missiles, just like we saw, and cruise missiles, just like we saw back in October in those massive barrages. So we can expect here in the hours to come that the Iranians will retaliate, that there will be incoming missiles, both cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, towards Israel. And the real question for Israel right now is, will their air and missile defenses hold up to the same degree that they did last October, where no serious damage was done? They got lucky, and the question is, can they get lucky again?
And we will probably find out in the coming hours. Steve Ganyard, we thank you so much. I want to bring in ABC's Marcus Moore, who's in Tel Aviv at this hour. And Marcus, I see that you're no longer in that shelter. What made you feel that it's safe enough to now be out in the open?
Well, Lindsay, we got the all clear, the announcement that came down on the loudspeakers about 20 minutes after the initial warning for everyone to leave. Then afterwards, they said that thanked everyone for their cooperation. and that they could go back about their evening. And just to point out, I mean, it's the middle of the night right now, about 4 o'clock in the morning. And so if you can imagine going to sleep and then hearing the air raid sirens go off, and then if you're in one of these hotels, getting the announcement to go to the shelter. And the same warning went out on cell phones. Very similar to when there's a weather emergency, if you will, in the U.S. And there's that very distinct sound coming from the cell phones. Well, that's exactly what went off tonight. And people all across this city and in Jerusalem and really much of Israel went to their shelters. And Lindsay, I can tell you it's a very tense time. It has been very tense, obviously, since October 7th, but in particular, this week, as the temperature really seemed to rise, all of it surrounding the new Iran nuclear talks on a potential new deal, and the potential that perhaps they may not be able to reach a deal. And that's what led up to what we saw tonight. We heard from an Israeli military official during a briefing just a few moments ago, Lindsay, and he said that they had reached the point of no return. And that, as we heard Selena mentioning, they talked about Iran's capabilities, that they said that they are moving closer to being able to produce a weapon. The number they came up with tonight, or that they shared tonight, is that Iran could perhaps have as many as 15 nuclear weapons within days. That is what the Israeli military official said this evening, and that was their claim, and that was the reason why they went about this, what they've described as a preemptive strike on nuclear facilities, or on a nuclear facility in Iran, and Lindsay, along with military targets as well, including commanders. And so there's every sense that this was a very complex operation, and one that is still ongoing tonight. And we'll wait to get an assessment on exactly what type of progress or what type of damage they were able to inflict. But of course, the big question tonight and the big concern is, how will Iran respond? And we've seen what happened last year. There were 2 different volleys of missiles and drones being fired last year, one in April, the other in October. And we're talking about hundreds of missiles. And that is a situation where potentially the air defense system here in Israel could potentially be overwhelmed. It wasn't prior to, but that is certainly the concern moving forward, and why everyone is watching to see exactly how Iran responds to tonight's strikes.
Certainly the whole world is watching. Marcus, please stay safe.
Yeah, man. I'm tired of hearing about war. I'm tired of the United States of America being allies with people that are involved in something that is conflict related. I don't want the United States of America's tax dollars to be involved in this whatsoever. Hopefully we don't get involved in any capacity. I don't want $1 going to support these people, which I know that that's an unrealistic goal, but basically what they're saying is that the talks wasn't going anywhere. Eventually, they thought that Iran was pulling on the United States of America's coattails, that they possibly could be within days of being able to develop nuclear weapons. And so instead of continuing to have this conversation with them and playing games with them, they let them know that we're not messing around and we're going to go ahead and hit these nuclear facilities. They killed a bunch of military leaders, and that they're going to continue to bomb Iran until they get a deal with the United States of America. So it's messy, bro. It's messy. It almost seems like the whole area, the Saudi Arabia, the Iraq, the Iran, the Tehran, the Israel, all of that is just conflict forever. Those people, it's almost like they breed people so that they can continue to immerse themselves in conflict. I don't think that there will ever be peace between Israel and Iran, ever. My kids, your kids, they're going to be sitting here having the same conversation, except for they're going to have a much better, more effective method of communication. Maybe they'll be in the metaverse by then. I don't think that you'll ever see an agreement between Israel and Iran, ever. Those places are destined to war for the rest of it. Since as long as I can remember, as I open my eyes, I've never seen peace over there.